Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I am your host, Barbara Gullen, hanging out today on this sunny, almost fall day with my buddy and pal, Tony Shore. Hello there, Tony.
Well, hello, Barbara. Great to be here on your show today. I'm
How,
already having fun.
how,
Already.
how about those Royals?
Okay. So coming up, yeah, I lost that bet. We're sending each other hats. I have a
Yeah,
hat. I haven't sent it yet, but I'm going to send you a Twins hat. But you don't have to wear yours in public or on the show. I will have to wear a Royals hat. That was our deal. The Royals beat the Twins. The Twins have just tanked altogether. Horrible.
and you don't have to ship it. I'll be up there next week. We can just swap it in person.
Oh, yes, let's do that. Okay.
Okay. And then
Okay,
we
when
can
I
take
see you next
pictures.
week, yeah, we'll take pictures. You can post them on social media. My radio show co-host lost a bet, go Royals. That's a good Facebook post right
It'll
there.
be a fun post.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be a good post. But,
And go
yeah, my
Chiefs.
twins
Go
my
Chiefs.
twins, not good. My Vikings, though, are doing
Your
great.
Vikings were very surprising. That was
Everybody was
awesome.
surprised.
Well,
Yeah.
as mostly the Ravens. Um,
Yeah, the 49ers is who we beat this past week, and
okay.
they were favored to win by a lot. Like the
Yeah.
49ers the 49ers and Chiefs are the teams to beat, right? But
Yeah, but who beat the Ravens? Because they went 0-2.
yeah,
I
I
can't
don't
remember
remember.
now.
I
Now,
don't
we
either.
had a bit of a bummer in the fourth quarter. One of our main players, Isaiah Pacheco,
Yeah, Pacheco got hurt,
he
right?
he has a fractured fibia. Say that
Oof.
5 times
Yeah,
fast.
fractured fibia.
Uh-huh. So he's gonna be out, I think, for at least 4 games.
Yeah,
They said,
that's
"Well,
tough.
that heals."
Well, Justin Jefferson, our star wide receiver, who
Mhm.
who had a 97-yard touchdown pass and run play,
I think I
uh,
saw that on the
one of the
highlights.
longest in the NFL. Our quarterback threw for about the pass itself was over 60 yards, and
Wow.
it was from our end zone, and
Mhm.
then Justin Jefferson ran the rest of the way.
Wow. That's exciting.
97-yard play. So, that was a great play. I really enjoyed that play.
Mhm.
And we beat the 49ers, which no one thought we could do, and we won handily the previous week
Yeah.
over the Giants. So we're 2-0.
It really was a week where a lot of stuff went it was like opposite day in the
Yeah,
NFL. I
yeah.
mean,
There were some
realistically,
upsets.
well, we are lucky that the Chiefs won. I mean,
Yeah, they struggled a bit in that game.
And Cincinnati has our number. We have struggled with Cincinnati just about every game. It's never been a clear one where you could just sit back and kind of relax the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter because you knew it was done. It is always a nail biter with them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it is. It is. They really do, and Baker Mayfield. But you know what? They shot themselves in the foot. They made so many crazy mistakes. It was nuts. But the Chiefs struggled a little bit, but they'll find that Patrick Mahomes always manages to pull it out.
he always does. I mean, he and Kelsey haven't found their groove yet. And
No, no, but they
these
had a
two,
couple of
too.
he had a couple of good plays with Kelsey, but only a
He
couple.
did. He did. But, the best one came back with a holding call. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem. Penalties really affected a lot of teams this past week. But we're not here to talk football. We're
No,
talking
but
about
if we
the
were
year
talking
end. What do
finance,
we need to
we could
do?
talk sports.
Yeah. What do we need to do, though, before the end of the year, Barb?
Well, we are getting close to when a lot of companies offer open enrollment to choose your healthcare plan, choose a dental or a vision plan, make changes to your 401k, your HSA, that's a health savings account for those of you that don't have it, your flexible spending accounts, which is pre tax money that you can set aside for medical expenses. Um, it's right around the corner for a lot of companies where you are going to get to make those elections and changes for the upcoming year for
Hmm.
2025. Um, And it's one of those things where I get a few calls from clients saying, should I change to this or change to that? And so I thought we would take a few minutes and go over some of the basics.
Sure.
With health insurance,
That's a
y-
big one.
it is. And your employer may offer various plans within their health insurance
Yeah.
where you can choose how big of a deductible you do or don't want, whether or not you want a health savings account, which allows you to set aside money. That health savings account is going to let you set aside money pre tax to help save for medical expenses. And when you pull it out for qualified medical expenses, it also comes out tax free. It
So you
is,
never have to pay taxes on that money,
you
and it's
never
probably
have to pay taxes on that
it's the
money.
only account like that where the money
Right,
isn't taxed upfront or when you take it out, and
right.
so that's
And
huge.
with a lot of health savings accounts, your employer also contributes to the HSA on your behalf.
Yes,
We don't have the
they
limits
can.
out yet for 2025 as to how
Mhm.
much you'll be able to set aside. That amount fluctuates every year with inflation. And much like they think there will be another small change to 401k contribution limits, there's probably going to be changes on the health savings account side. The beauty of health savings accounts is you set that money aside and you do not have to use that money by the end of the year.
Yeah, HSAs or health savings accounts, they carry over. You don't
They
lose
carry
that
over,
money. Yeah.
not to be confused with the flex spending accounts, which are FSAs.
Mhm.
Now, for those, if you know that you're going to need eyeglasses and you know how much your prescription medications cost every year, and you know about how many times you're going to go to the doctor, you can set up that money in your FSA so that that money is going in again pre-tax, and it does come out tax free when you pay for those medical expenses. The caveat with the FSA is if you overshoot it and there's money left in your FSA at the end of the year, you're going to forfeit that money.
Yeah. We've had that happen. Luckily, fortunately, it wasn't
Mhm.
that much money, but,
Mhm.
my wife and I, we each have the option to contribute to the flex spending
Mhm.
accounts. And so okay, how much should you put in? How much should I could put in? We look at what we spent last year out of pocket medical expenses.
Mhm.
And then we make a decision during this time of open enrollment. So that is huge for people. And it is important for them to understand the difference. And with an
Mhm.
HSA, there are a lot of pros to that, right, Barb? I mean,
I
people
I
can
am a huge proponent of HSAs. I am a big fan there.
Yeah. People can use that and you can really pack it full, put in the maximum amount each year, and
Mhm.
then wait and use it in retirement where you can use it on anything, your Medicare premiums, your copays,
Mhm. You can
prescriptions.
you can also reimburse yourself for those out-of-pocket medical expenses where you didn't use your HSA.
It's huge.
And, if you end up getting to take a cruise with your HSA reimbursement, it's perfectly legal.
Yep. There
Just
you
saying, if
go.
you've got the
Yeah.
receipts to prove it. Um, Another thing to remember with an FSA, because the economy is a little bit different, and even though we're not seeing a whole lot of jobs created, and we are seeing companies start to do some layoffs. When you lose your position, if you have money sitting in an FSA, it's important when they terminate you to ask them how long you have to use that money. Because with a lot of
Ah.
companies, you've only got like 30 or 60 days to use up
Oh,
what's in that FSA account, or
that's
you're
good
going to
to know.
forfeit that money.
Yikes. Yeah, I never thought of that before. I've never been in that situation, and I've never heard anyone state that before, Barb, but that's really important. You don't wanna lose that money. So,
No, you don't. You
you wanna
don't.
make
And
sure if you're leaving an employer, you know how much you have, you find out, you ask about it, probably
Mhm.
the HR department or benefits person.
Yeah, and I understand when you find out that you're losing your job, it can be a pretty traumatic event. And, it's just one of those things to keep in the back of your mind and is a question that you need to ask when you're going through that exit interview.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But this is also the time where a lot of people try to evaluate if they can afford to put more into their retirement plan, into that 401k. My encouragement to everybody is always to at least put in whatever your employer is going to match. You're leaving money on the table if you don't, in all honesty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to take advantage of that. Now, I have
Mhm.
a question for you, Barbara. We talk a lot about federal employee benefits for
Mhm.
federal employees on the show,
Mhm.
and we've been talking today about FSAs and HSAs. Do
Mhm.
those apply to federal employees as well? Do they have access to that in
They
most
do
cases?
they do have access to those. Their open season goes from October to November
Okay.
and spans, I think it's either October to November or November to December. Goodness gracious, this is a Monday and now I can't remember. Um, it's been one of those
It's
weekends. What can I
probably
say?
October to November.
I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna look it up really quick while we're talking here.
Sure. Yeah, no
Um,
problem. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I
that's
just know
okay.
that we have a lot of federal employees that do listen to the show for
That's
tips, and we do a lot of entire episodes for them. This one really isn't, but I know that some of these things obviously apply as well to
Yep.
anybody with a job anywhere, especially at an employer who hopefully is
Yeah.
offering you good health benefits and
Yeah, it goes from the second full week in November.
uh-huh.
That starts that Monday, and it goes until the second full week in December.
Oh,
So
okay.
it is a November to December effective
Ah,
for January, um,
yeah,
for that
interesting.
for that 1st January
Sure. And
payroll
then
deduction.
private companies, it can vary all over the place.
Right,
I know my
right.
company, theirs is just ending, and
Mhm.
so a lot haven't started. Usually they're around this time of year or October.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that October through December is also Medicare annual enrollment period is for Medicare, right?
Mhm. It
And we'll
is.
probably do a whole show on Medicare at some point.
We probably will. Medicare is a horse all unto itself.
It
Um,
is.
a horse of a different color, um,
Yeah.
and has its own sets of rules. The thing to remember with that is if you're going to hop from one Medicare supplement to another, sometimes there's medical underwriting that gets involved.
Yeah.
So, m- you're almost better off to pick the best option and just kind of stick with it unless they make some drastic changes.
Sure.
There are going to be some changes coming down the pike to the Medicare Advantage plans because the
Yes.
government is going to stop funding a lot of the programs that supplement those Medicare Advantage plans, so they are going to lose some of their luster, I think, in not in 25 but in 26.
Yeah, because right now, a lot of Medicare Advantage plans, there is no premium, monthly premium. A lot of them,
Right.
there's no monthly premium.
And a lot of them offer things for free, like a gym membership
Yes.
or an allotment for nutritional supplements. And a lot of that funding is going to go away.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, my parents are on an Advantage plan that even they get a credit card to use, like, they get an extra,
Hmm.
to buy things from pharmacies like aspirin or
Hmm.
cough syrup or yeah,
Right.
it's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah.
Some of the plans, I was surprised at how good some of the Advantage plans are, but you have to watch out. They're very strict on in-network and,
They are. They
you have to
are.
jump through their hoops, that's for sure.
And more than likely, if you're planning on traveling internationally, a Medicare Advantage plan is not going to be for you.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, but I digress. We're talking
Yes.
about employee benefits, not retirement benefits right now, but for employees,
Mhm.
mainly. But for employee benefits, obviously knowing your plan and you think, well, I don't, why are we talking about this? My company covers this. But in those meetings, those benefit meetings, I've been in many of them in my
Mhm.
day, Barb, and a lot of the information is either confusing or not great.
Mhm,
I've never, they're not going to say if you leave this company, you'll only have this for. They don't say
mm.
stuff like that.
No,
They
they
don't get
don't.
into any detail,
They don't.
really.
And, they very seldom stand at the front of the room and say, "Put more into your 401k so we can match it." Um,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's
You all should be putting at least enough in to get the full match.
mhm.
That is something that everyone needs to hear, right?
And remember that if you are in a lower income threshold, the IRS changes these numbers every year. You can qualify for a saver's credit
Hmm.
if you contribute to your 401k. I think it counts if you contribute to your 401k. I know there are people that are eligible for a deductible IRA, even outside of that 401k plan if their income is low enough.
Hmm.
And the IRS offers savers credits to you where they're going to reduce your taxes, um,
Yeah,
just for trying to set up more money in your
yeah.
retirement
Yeah,
account.
and that's one thing I've never heard about is savers credits from people who have these plans or from a lot of people. That's something you're not going to hear about, but
Mhm.
these are all things that could make a difference depending on your income, right?
For a married couple, if your adjusted gross income falls below $76,500, you are eligible for a savers credit,
Oh, okay.
which reduces your taxes.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's a good thing to know about.
So,
So we've learned about FSAs, HSAs, saver credits, and 401k matches. We've talked about 401ks in the past, and we always mention the match. But I think when it's open enrollment, this is a time when you can change how much you're contributing to your 401k. You can sometimes make changes. A lot of companies and plans allow you to go in year
mhm.
round and make a change. But how you do that and making the right change for you is important to understand. That's why I recommend working with a financial professional like yourself, because you want to make sure you're at least giving enough to the match. And then beyond that, you might be better off putting it somewhere else, or you might be better off putting more into your 401k.
Especially if you also have the option of a Roth 401k versus a traditional
Ah,
401k. I have a lot of people that ask me which one makes the most sense. And that my answer is it depends.
yeah. What's your personal situation?
What's your overall goal?
Uh-huh.
Everybody likes the idea of having a tax-free bucket of money. If you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, I'm a huge advocate for that. But that doesn't always mean that the Roth 401k or the Roth TSP makes the most sense for you in this moment.
Yeah. Some private companies I've heard, at least when they first became available,
Mhm.
Barb, tell me what you know about this, but I know at the company I worked for when Roth 401ks became available, you
Mhm.
could put as much as you want into the Roth. I mean,
Mhm.
within the limits, they
Right.
have limits, but the problem is to get the match, the company match, that was only if you put the money into the traditional 401k. So if
That I find unusual. Normally, even if you participate in the Roth 401k versus the traditional, your employer is going to match it, but by law, the match is going to go into the traditional and not the Roth.
that's what it is. The
Mhm,
match, they don't
mhm.
put the match in the Roth IRA.
They can't. It's an IRS regulation.
Right. The match goes into a traditional IRA. Okay, that's what I wanted clarification on.
Right.
That's right. That's what I heard. I wasn't quite sure, and I want to make sure our listeners understand that, because
Mhm,
that could affect, when they're trying to decide, should I put everything into my Roth? Should I
mhm.
401k? Should I put it all into my regular? And then, do you put nothing in your 401k and all in the Roth, or half and half? And everybody's situation is different, is what you're saying. That's going to
R
vary then.
Right. Or, you go to look at the statement and you're like, I was putting all this money into Roth. Why do I have money sitting in the traditional account? That's why.
Sure. And could it affect how much compound, because you're not getting that added money into the Roth, and because you
Mhm,
want the compounding interest of the
mhm.
investments within these accounts, the market,
Right.
um, then does it make sense to put some of your own money into the traditional? Does that help what the company puts in there as far as growth,
It
do you
shouldn't
think?
help what the company puts in there. You can invest in the same
Sure.
options,
Sure.
whether it's traditional versus Roth.
So
On
that
the
wouldn't
Roth
make a
side, it's
difference then.
compounding and growing tax-free once it's been there 5 years. You can take it out tax-free, and you're
That's the huge
59 and a
plus.
half.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
plus.
you can also, if it's been there for 5 years, they'll let you pull it out to purchase a new home without
Yeah,
paying taxes on it,
sure.
as long as it's your first time home purchase. And there are some other ways that you can pull money out of a Roth account before 59 and a half and
Sure.
not pay a penalty and have advantages to it. Um, it's still going to compound on the traditional side as well. It's still going to grow. And, like for our federal employees, you cannot convert from a traditional TSP to Roth TSP funds within the TSP. You can contribute to either, but you cannot convert. If you want to convert your traditional TSP to Roth funds, you're going to have to roll it out to an outside IRA.
Yeah.
And you can't do that unless you're 59 and a half or separate from service.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of rules to keep track of, which, Barb, this is one more reason why I tell people, give Barbara Golan a call, right?
Thank you,
Right?
Tony.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And, I studied retirement plans. Gosh, my first courses that I took studying retirement plans, I took back in 2005.
Yeah.
So,
You've been doing it a number of years, helping people
been at it for a
plan
while.
for retirement, plan their investments so they'll grow, so you have that money when you need it, and
Mhm.
make sure you're doing it right and not making costly mistakes. And now, if you're still actively employed and getting that paycheck, you want
Mm,
to make sure that those benefits are truly in your advantage and you're taking advantage of everything that's offered, because nowadays that's a big
yes.
part of your pay is benefits.
It is. It really, and it can make the difference in quality, quality of life. I was talking to somebody yesterday that has a dollar figure in his head
Yep.
of what it's worth for him in terms of a lower salary to be able to work remotely at least part of the time
Yep.
versus a job where he's expected to be in office 5 days a week.
Sure.
So, and these benefits are in that same bucket. It's about what's available, what your quality of life is. When it comes to the health insurance, if you're on medications, making sure that the formulary hasn't changed so that your meds are still covered. And if they aren't, you might need to make a change to a different plan.
Sure. Yep, that's true. Well, you know what, Barb? We've covered a lot already. If our listeners want to get a hold of you and set up a consultation, hey, what should I do? Am I contributing enough to my
Right.
401k based on what my retirement plan and date is? How can they do that?
They can call us at area code 913-553-6222 and choose the option for appointments and scheduling. Or you can always type in our website, anchoryourretirement.com, and that will take you to our contact page. You can fill that information out, and a member of our team will reach out to you and get you on the calendar with either myself or one of our other qualified fiduciaries to help you
All
with
right.
all of this.
Barb, that's awesome. And this is really an important topic. So many of our listeners out there have to deal with this, and a lot of them think, there's nowhere to turn for help, and it's not your situation isn't the same as your neighbors or your brothers or your sisters or,
Right.
coworkers. So get somebody's help who's done this before. I don't make any decisions without working with a
No.
financial pro, I think.
No, because with a lot of these, you've got one chance in the year to make those changes unless you have a qualifying event, which is getting married, getting divorced, death of a spouse, having a
Yep.
child age out of being eligible for healthcare. Outside of those very narrow parameters, you can't make any changes to at
Right.
least the health insurance side of things.
Right. Exactly. Well, great show today, Barb. I
Thanks,
think
Tony.
that's it for today, but we'll talk to you next week. That does it for today's episode of Anchor Your Retirement with our host, Barb Gullen.
We'll see you soon.